May I have your attention? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am calling the January 25th, 2016 annual town meeting of Clinton, Connecticut. As you know, this is my first time as First Selectman doing this, so you'll have to bear with me. I want to thank the custodial staff for giving a microphone to me this evening. So bear with me. The first order of business is to elect the moderator for tonight's meeting. Do I hear any nominations from the floor? Carol Walton.
I'd like to nominate Bruce Farmer.
Gee, you can't get away from this. Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Don't all speak at once.
Move to be closed.
If there are no other nominations from the floor, I declare the nominations closed. And in order to make it official, we need a motion to declare myself First Selectman as far as the moderator.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Second. Okay, so I'm officially the moderator for this annual town meeting. Thank you very much. Motion passed. All right. Now the clerk will read the call, which is the legal notice.
Annual town meeting, Town of Clinton, January 25th, 2016, 7 p.m. Legal notice. Annual town meeting of the electors and citizens qualified to vote in town meetings of Town of Clinton, Connecticut will be held in the green room of the William Stanton Andrews Memorial Town Hall, 54 East Main Street, Clinton, Connecticut, on Monday, January 25th, 2016, at 7 p.m. The purpose of this meeting is to accept the annual town report, including the various department reports and the audit of the Town of Clinton, Connecticut for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2015, dated at Clinton the 7th day of January 2016. You review town report.
Thank you very much. Now we need a motion to approve the legal call of this annual town meeting as written.
Second.
Did I hear a second as well? Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you all. Moving right along. Let's see. Are there any folks who would like to make a few comments right now?
I'll make a motion to approve the report of the auditors as presented
Thank you. Second?
Second.
for this.
In favor?
Again,
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Any further comments tonight on the financials?
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That would be good if we could do that. Okay. This is not related to the prior financials, but I wanted to share this with everybody because it's good news. The Moody's rating organization has just approved our rating position for the new year, which again is a AA2. Thank you, Lord. Which is, in my mind, is an excellent position for a small town like ours to continue to be. So that's really great news for us. I was going to say a couple of words, but I decided that those might be discussed by some of the other boards and commissions later, so I'm going to pass on that. Let's see. The next part of our program this evening is the annual joint meeting of the Town of Clinton Boards and Commissions. First, I want to welcome all of the residents for attending tonight. We appreciate it. And our guest speaker, Jessie McLaughlin, our state representative in the House. Thank you, Jessie, for being here.
Mr. First Selectman?
Yes.
You have to vote on the adjournment.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Before I get into the second phase, I do have to vote on the adjournment of the
Or else we'll be here again tomorrow or the next day. You could come back.
Okay, is there a motion
Yes.
to adjourn the
Already moved to second.
Okay, can't hear there, that's the problem. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you for that, Willie. All right. Back again to the next part of our program, the annual joint meeting. And in addition to thanking all of you folks as I did in Jessie, I want to thank all the members of the boards, commissions, and agencies that are here this evening. And first, we'd like to hear from our guest speaker, if she's ready. Please proceed. Thank you. No, that's okay.
Good evening, friends and colleagues. I've prepared a few remarks this evening. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you all. My name is Jessie McLaughlin, and although I'm not a Westbrook resident, I've had the distinct honor of representing the town of Clinton for a little over a year now in the Connecticut General Assembly. I've also had the pleasure of playing against many a Morgan School football team that beat us at Westbrook High School more times than I'd like to admit. A team of great ability, multiple teams of great ability and heart, who upheld the tradition of determination that I believe has been upheld to this day and carried out on the Morgan School football program to this day. The joint meeting of boards and commissions offers a unique view of Clinton's tremendous municipal leadership. As a group, all of you give your time and talent to underwrite Clinton's very high quality of life. As public servants, you represent the very best of what makes small towns like ours in the state of Connecticut worth fighting for. Part of my work in Hartford has been to spotlight how towns like ours display the ability to govern themselves and to value local control and decision making. All of you here make my job in making that case very easy. Sadly, I wish I could boast as highly about the way in which our state is governed and the way in which its budget priorities are set. I have too often been in the minority, supporting fiscal and social policies that accurately balance our state's needs with our state's means. I would hesitate to encourage the town of Clinton to rely upon our state's fiscal sound nature at a time where barely a quarter goes by before another hole is blown through our state budget. I can assure you that I will be avidly advocating for the same type of scrutiny in our state budgets that the folks here in this room experience every year. As you all know, General Electric has decided to move its corporate headquarters from Fairfield to Boston Seaport. It acted on what was thought was best for the company, and that included the choice to leave a state that had raised $8 billion worth of taxes over the span of 6 years, while doing very little to significantly innovate spending habits and innovate its size and structure. An unstable financial management system at the state level would certainly serve as a just cause for any company, any business, to evaluate its options in order to generate the most ideal outcomes for its shareholders, for its employees, and also for its consumers. However, despite what I hear much of and what we all hear much of in the media, I don't want to take this time to fearmonger. I'd like to offer how I feel we should move forward in spite of, in my opinion, very poor business practices in the state of Hartford. I believe we need to prioritize and focus on reestablishing business confidence in the state of Connecticut, harnessing the power of local bipartisan leadership, and working towards a new economic environment. I don't believe there should be any replacement in the state's priorities for sound fiscal management, taking note of the consequences associated with what OPM Secretary Benjamin Barnes has called a state of permanent fiscal crisis. Being careful to restrain the temptation to play on fear. The public and its officials would do well to consider how the state's habit of excessive bonding and tax increases deter investor confidence. I'm talking about a potential homeowner. I'm talking about someone looking to start their new business here in this state. And ensure confidence in the workforce as a whole, that their employer will not be evaluating options that outside of our state's boundaries. The state owes it to its people to offer an assurance that we're on solid footing, that we can deliver our basic necessities and some of the basic obligations that a state has. High standards in education that ready young people for a complex economy. A quality healthcare system that supports its hospitals. And a regulatory policy that acknowledges the needs of a new economy. I believe that delivering a balanced budget that clearly takes on a projected $4 billion deficit will go a long way in claiming that our state is indeed stable and open for business. Governor Charlie Baker and Boston Mayor Martin J. Walsh pulled off a masterstroke in their effort to woo General Electric and beat out over 40 competing locations. By coordinating their respective offices and eliciting participation from municipal and business leaders in Massachusetts, they were able to overcome their political differences, and in doing so, bring a highly touted corporation to one of the most attractive business environments in the United States, Boston Seaport. I believe that the state has some lessons to learn from the coordination of a Republican Democrat and a Republican governor and a Democratic mayor. I think there's much work to be done. The state has a lot to learn about how we can support and come alongside local efforts. One local effort that I've been so proud to support this year has been the School Climate Social and Emotional Learning Work that I saw Superintendent Pat Saccone champion in Westbrook in fully implementing a school climate initiative. Social and emotional learning is thought to be the most effective way of bridging the gap between teachers and students in a relational way. It's the idea that not incentive, not punishment, but rather relationships will create a healthy, safe, and open environment for young people to learn, process information, synthesize, and participate in their learning experience. It's in my opinion, a fiscally conservative and very socially open-minded and progressive way of conceptualizing school climate and environment. And that's something I'm very proud to stand alongside the educators and particularly students here in Clinton, Connecticut. It's been a student-led push. And I think the state has a lot to learn about coming alongside of grassroots community efforts. And I will be happy to continue spotlighting incredible work like that. I also believe that after we've seen through educating a young person from 0 to 18, it's important to ensure that the state of Connecticut is crafting policies that align with a new emerging economy. And I'll finish with a few comments on that emerging economy. The late Boston Mayor Tom Menino left a lasting legacy in the creation of Boston Seaport. He turned what was once a very low socioeconomic port into a hub of technology and innovation. He continued to invest in the transformation of that district for over 20 years. And it became one of the most attractive places for a new business from hard sciences to financial services to lay its roots. We call that a cluster. It's an area of a high-density area of interconnected businesses, and I believe it will play an integral role in our new economy. The presence of like firms diminishes the need for companies to do everything in-house, to be vertically integrated. And in doing so, they increase their productivity. Companies are looking to do business alongside of like companies, in short. GE was quoted as saying that the area's research universities, flourishing tech and life science sectors, and an ecosystem to support business made Boston a must-see. Clusters are known to increase productivity among its members, quicken the pace of innovation, and encourage the growth of more businesses. Connecticut needs to apply policies that align our own expression of the new economy. We host an impressive military industry, and that will continue to demand innovation and hard sciences. Our insurance and financial sectors still hold a critical role to play in creating jobs in growing markets. The state should rally around our existing pillars of economy in ways that encourage investment into new budding and ancillary businesses. After all, that's where we'll see the highest growth. I've often found that failure is the best teacher. Not to be scorned, but rather analyzed. And I think we've made some mistakes that we can learn from. In 2015 alone, I believe we learned that greater results in governing can come about from sound fiscal management, from pragmatic, bipartisan leadership, and an embrace of the new economy, and all the ingredients it requires for prosperity. I want to thank you for taking the time to hear some of my thoughts on how we can move forward after a tough year. 2015 was a tough year for the state of Connecticut. And I wanted to start by explaining to you my thoughts on some of the challenges that we faced in 2015. But more importantly, I believe the conversation should focus on how we can channel our efforts into overcoming some very difficult times ahead. I believe that has to do, I believe we should be focusing on highlighting what local decisions and innovation can do, like we've seen in the social emotional learning revolution. It's literally called the Emotion Revolution at Yale University, and I believe that to be an adequate name. I believe that we need to encourage the fiscal managers of our state to work very hard to align needs with means. And I think the aspects of the new economy, the fact that small businesses want to be with one another in close proximity to grow and to compete and to offer jobs to our young people coming out of college and finding it very difficult to find work are a way for us to find growth. And that's what I'll be continuing to talk about this year as the legislative session begins, and that's what you can expect from me. I'm so happy to be able to share that with you, and I hope we can continue the ongoing discussion of how to conquer some of our community's toughest needs. Thanks so much, and thank you for your service in this town.
Thank you very much, Jessie. Now we will hear from our boards, commissions, and agencies, that is, those who wish to speak this evening. If you would simply identify yourself and the commission, board, or agency that you represent. Would anybody like to start? No, I'll volunteer at once. There you go.
Yep. My name is Peter Niles, and I'm the chairman of the Police Commission. So I guess I would focus on the most important tasks that we've been working on in the last few months. First of all, you know that our former chief, Todd Lauer, retired, and we hired Tom Terabile as our interim administrative chief. And he's steering the ship and has done an admirable job for us. While our commission has gone out and done a very serious job of trying to find the very best person we could find to fill that job for us. So, give you an idea where we are. Last Saturday, we met at the library in Snowzilla, and we had our interviews. We had reduced, or had sifted through an original 28 applicants that met our criteria down to 7. And we had sent those, actually sent 8 up to the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association. They interviewed 8 of these policemen and officers and captains and lieutenants and deputy chiefs. And they came away and they gave us a list of 7, which they said were either highly qualified, or not ready. So we took those and we set up interviews, and that took place last Saturday. The holidays got in the way and scheduling and all, so that's been delayed, but we didn't want to rush the process. So we met Saturday and we went through the interviews, and the goal was to come away with 2 finalists, and we did that. And so now the process is, I sent their information to a private investigator. They'll do background checks and personnel checks, make sure the resumes or all the information is checked out, and talk to people and give us a report. That's due in about, I'd say, a week and a half. And then once that happens, once we have that report in our hands, we'll meet as a commission again, and we'll go over those findings. And then we'll probably set up another second interview with those 2 candidates and come to a decision. And then we'll go into negotiations for salaries and things like that. So I'm anticipating a decision final decision and chief in place by March 1st, if things go right. So that's the update I have for us, and wish us luck.
Amen. Thank you. About John Allen with
Here I am.
economic development. There he is.
It's hard to talk to both sides.
He's shiny self.
Just basically the Economic Development Commission, break down kind of a big picture and then what we want to get done in the real world, what we'd like to do, and then maybe what we're going to have just to focus on this year. I think the overarching thing that we've come to of our kind of really newly reconstituted group is to market the town. No other way of putting it. Marketing is not just running ads and billboards. Marketing is identifying who you want to talk to, what you want to say, to reach them constantly, to track them, to put some measurement against it. We're getting these people interested. And I'll go through this mantra that if some of you have heard me say before, this is a pretty interesting time for us now. The Unilever thing is a glitch, trying to get that unstuck, but that's not going to happen. But what's happening up in the interchange with the Mill Pond, what's happening with Milano, what's happening in town, it's still going to attract a lot more people to this little bird than we've had in a long time. State finances notwithstanding, there's a lot going on here. And it's enough for us to leverage, to take advantage of that. In the marketing world, that doesn't happen a lot. Where you really have a chance to say, not just the fact you've got a new constituted board of selectmen, not that changes a lot, but things have changed, and when things change, you get a chance to grab people for a minute and say, wait a minute, think about us. And that's marketing. And, I have already put together with our board a marketing plan, which I've seen this is the Board of Finance and the budget. I know things are really tight, and I'm not going to be overly Pollyannish about all this money going through, but the purpose of this plan kind of rested on the belief that you build your way out of problems. You grow your way out of problems. You don't keep on cutting. And that means it's not the status quo anymore. You can't look at last year's budget and just say that's what it's going to be. There's going to be even harder decisions on the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. And it's not going to be as easy, in my opinion, as saying this, cut this, cut this. You're going to have to kind of change some priorities. I used to say to clients, look at marketing not as an expense, but as a capital investment in something. It's like putting new plumbing into a building. I mean, you've got to look at it not as just something, oh, we don't have any money. So that's my little more gantry on what marketing's all about. And we're going to do that. And we're already putting a plan together. We're talking to people. We've gone to CERC. We've gone, we want to talk to more people than just the River Cog group here. There's other shoreline communities. They're pretty much in the same boat we are. And there's regions. There's ways of talking this. So that's the big thing. And I've got to get in front of I've already been to the Bruce, but getting in front of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, and that's kind of what you're going to hear me say. And there's a real budget approved. The other part of it is really just coming down to some what we want to do this year that we want to kind of tackle to try to, the most important thing when it comes to having people interested in town to see things happening. I mean, only evidence of life is really growth. See things, Anytime something's happening, make sure that people know something's happening in the town. Not that we're going to change the New England culture of this wonderful town that I've adopted, but it is changing, and it should change, and it should be a little bit more, competitive. I just wrote down some of the things that we've listed. This is really just going through the kind of notes. The near-term objectives for the year for the EDC is to get the Board of Selectmen and subsequently the entire town to fully and publicly endorse the Plan of Conservation and Development. Now, there's a draft. And, from experience, there's a difference between saying, yes, we approve it, and actually using it. And that Plan of Conservation and Development, I think, was an excellent document. A lot of blood was let to get that thing done. There are a lot of people that still think things that happen. When you really read that, not just hold it in your hand, but read it, especially implementation things at the back, that's basically a direction for this town. We don't need any more plans. And every time we have so many committees in this town and so many plans in this town, pretty much we don't need any more of either. And that Plan of Conservation Development, the way it happens in business is to have the Board of Selectmen say, this is the plan, and to socialize it and to use it. In the back of each one of these 7 sections or 8 sections, there's like implementation, who should be involved, EDC, water pollution, the Board of Finance. They've already done the work. Now it's just to make sure it works. And that's going to be and that doesn't cost any money. The money's been spent. So now it's just taking advantage of what this town has already gone through, both in emotional capital and real cost to have this thing done from, I guess, CME people that we paid to write the thing up. As I said, we're revisiting the Unilever situation, which is stuck, and it's kind of like sitting there. We're going to meet with David Mack again actually next week. We're looking at the Cecil Group plan. You know, there's so many things that we've done. That Cecil Group plan that came in there before David came by with the skating rink thing was excellent. It just happened to get kind of like hijacked by this, oh, we're going to put this, Clinton Station in. Well, that didn't happen. So let's go back, and we spent for that, and it was good. So it's there. So we don't have to do anything else. You can look at that. And to market it. And I mean marketing by more than just running an ad. I mean, the marketing plan was to actually, join trade groups. Go to trade shows in Boston, go to trade shows in New Jersey, get ourselves out there, use digital media to let people know that this town, there's something going on here. And the other Department of Transportation is the train station, which our wonderful Jessie here and we've talked about before. They get this, really trying to get some definitive, what the hell's going on with the train station again? The last we were supposed to get Jessie numbers back, and we didn't because David Mack pulled out. It was what the additional traffic was going to be going through with this Unilever debate to make a safety case to say we need a train station and we're going to be building. That's not going to happen. But still, why is it we're sitting here like the stepchild? Everybody else has got a new train station, and ours is still looking at something from 1929 over there. That's an important thing we want to do. The other is to still work on the sign and not to give up on getting an exit for people to know to coming in this town that you can get off at exit 62 to go to Clinton. And you can be a truck. You don't have to, you're not going to use the threshold. I mean, that just seems ridiculous. It's another thing that you and Art both said help. But I mean, that's little stuff. It doesn't cost money. Just constantly trying to figure out the right way to get to these people. Improving wayfinding in the town. That's wayfinding is signs. We've been talking about this now for 2 years, and it doesn't cost a lot. Pete can make the signs. It's just making sure when people drive in, where's the parking? Where's the beach? It's still kind of like one of these, you have to kind of know how to get around. That's not good for business. That's not good for people that are coming here looking to do business. The other is to leverage the GIS, this new GIS system we're doing the spade work on, and the brand new town website, which is great, to actually use it, which means everybody in town ought to be compelled the business to use it so that everybody knows what's going on. There's one place where all the information is, and right now we're still dealing in silos. Whether it's personal silos or organizational silos, that doesn't work. There's so much that goes on here, you kind of like get surprised. That helps the business, so we know what to do, how to act. Then there's one that's a little bit more controversial maybe, but it's to identify the real need for first, and then the scope, the responsibilities, the kind of parameters, the objectives, the measurement of a town planner or economic development director or somebody professional to do this. It bumps into, within the current kind of town charter we have, somebody that can actually take this job and do it full time. We're looking at salaries. We've talked to some other, to Rocky Hill. There's models around there. Now, this is heavy timber because it does impact current status quo. But if we really want to get out there and look professional, we ought to be professional. We ought to have somebody out there that does this. And there's a lot of smart people out there. But again, it's rearranging who's responsible for what in this town. And I think the first is to really do it. And then if you decide, as the Board of Selectmen and the whole town decides that it's something we ought to do, what's the right way of vetting this person? There's a lot of people out there that say they're economic development directors, but I don't think we want to hire them. How do you do it properly? Since we've never hired one before, we did. But not this kind of current group. Better coordinate the efforts, which is something Bruce has always said. Just this is a region, where there's so many different people along the shoreline into the state, not just River Cog, which is, I don't even know how still don't know how they're cobbled together into that kind of weird group. But we ought to work together with other people in the state that are kind of similar. You have to do this alone. So the economic development, EDC is reaching out for those people. Initiate business visitations. You don't want to lose a current customer. It costs you twice as much to replace a customer you've lost that you had than to find a new one. And that's important. So somehow, just to maintain some kind of, increase our relationships within the town of the current businesses we have, and then whether we got a video that we can't use anymore because the Unilever thing was a major theme in it, so we have to figure out what to do with that. So those are pretty much just kind of like tactical things we want to do. I must say, the group we've got is very energized and good. We do need that democratic independent, whatever, we're vacant person, we have been for a year, and I think that Larry and Allison are kind of moving somebody through. It's nice to have, it's, you know, just to have one other person there, because we're only 5.
About Pete Neff, would you like to say a couple words? Public Works, or the or perhaps the website?
Who's Carl?
Whatever you'd like to.
No, the only thing I would say is it's about last year. Basically, we went through a pretty tough year over the winter. Hopefully this weekend wasn't a sign of things to come for the rest of this winter. Our mission has changed dramatically over the last several years. You'll see a lot of improvements that occur around buildings, around town-owned buildings, re-landscaped, lawns taken care of. We've concentrated pretty much, to John's speech, on making the center of town attractive, kept clean, picked up. And we're working with the school system on cleaning up their campuses. We're starting to lay out our plans for taking care of the new Morgan School, which is 5 times the amount of area in terms of outside maintenance that was at the old Morgan School. So we've asked for new equipment. The only thing I can really tell you is that basically my heavy-duty fleet is now reaching the ripe old age of 20 to 21. And it gets older every year, and the cost of maintaining it gets older every year. So we've actually discussed with the Board of Finance and the Finance Director and the First Selectman a methodology to start replacing that equipment, because it's going to have to happen sooner than later. Good crew, they work hard. I think, hopefully if you ever have a complaint, please get a hold of us. As chairman of the new website committee, I will mention that the website will go live a week from today, the new website. You'll be able to sign in and get an account. You'll be able to ask to be notified automatically if things are put up from various departments, or agendas and minutes will be emailed to you. So it's an exciting new phase compared to the old website. It's much more interactive. Right now we plan on opening up about maybe 50% of its capacity, because it just takes a lot to get this information in and get it going. So you'll be able to look at facilities, and you'll be able online to request that facility if you want to have something held there. So it's quite dynamic. So hopefully everybody will take a look at that when it comes up. Right now we're planning next Monday, barring any problems over next weekend. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? There you go. Board of Finance.
John Olson, Private Road. I don't want to speak as the Board of Finance, and I want to make sure I gave every chair their opportunity to speak. But what I'd like to speak to is some issues that I think are important for us, whether we be Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated. There's a great deal of anger in this country today. Whether you look at the Republican side, the Democrat side, people are angry. They're anti-government. There's been a lot of people on both sides who've been, running against things and condemning government at every level. With that said, I serve on 3 boards here: the Harbor Commission, the Board of Finance, and the Fair Rent Commission. I received a copy of the ethics codes here in Clinton, and I'm also serving on CI, Connecticut Innovations, where we do loans, tax credits, and we're an investment bank for startups in the state of Connecticut. So we lend a lot of money and invest a lot of money. Now, in December, I had to go through a course online on ethics. It takes about 45 minutes. If I'm there, I go through it, and they go through the whole area of ethics. And my concern is that transparency. We see we're being videoed here tonight, which is the only way someone can actually see us, is to go on a site and to look at that. But that's subject to editing, and if I was doing it, I would edit it too. Maybe there's no editing or whatever happens with it. But I'd like to see us work on a commission and turn around and in keeping with what economic development says. You got to get your story out there. There's no New Haven Register, no Middletown Press, no Hartford Current. There's no more whatever they call that thing that we used to have, the patch. So how do we get any messages out? If we do press releases, I think we should try to get public access. We have maybe students that'll volunteer, we have public access to cable, and put a commission together. The other thing that I'd like to see is the Ethics Commission take a look at what's there, what we're doing, because I tell you, the people are suspicious. And I've always held myself to pretty high standards. I felt if I had to ask an opinion of the Ethics Commission of the state of Connecticut, like a lot of people do, on both sides of the aisle, if I have to ask that opinion, I must know something's wrong. My standard is if I have to ask the question, I don't do it. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I think what we need to do is to take a look at it and see if we come up with our Ethics Commission and see if that, at least we signed that, we read it, looked at it, or whatever else is in there. Because I think some people might be surprised. I don't know if we have any policy on lunches, or gifts. The state of Connecticut has a thorough, they deal with it, very thorough. I'm not saying we have to adopt all of what they have, but I think that if you want to get people to trust you, because people right now are suspicious of everybody on every board, commission, elected official, Democrat or Republican, because we need to get a better word out there. We're here giving our time. Every one of you are here giving your time to better this town. And sadly to say, there's a lot of people out there thinking that you're not doing it. So with that, I offer myself to help and work on some of that, but I think it's something for us all to think about, is to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible, and to make sure that we're looking at ethics in the context of what the law is and what we can do, and how we can make ourselves, look at a high standard for the people that we represent. Thank you.
Anybody else? There you go.
My name's Arthur Cobra. I've spent most of my life as a professional marketer. And to me, it seems as if what we're talking about, let me go back. In marketing, it appears that if you want to sell something, and we're selling in town, you have to offer a competitive advantage. What do you have that other people don't? And what I hear going on is bringing the town up to the standard of other towns, which in many ways are ahead of us. So I would suggest that what we might do to market is to look at what we have here in Clinton, to see what's different, to see what offers a competitive advantage, no matter how tiny, because as you know, when you buy soap, for instance, and the process of selling soap is not much different than the process of selling a town, the difference between the different brands of soap is minuscule. So I would suggest we look and see what do we have that offers a difference, a competitive advantage that we can seize upon, or I think one of the things is the new school, for instance, that would make people who have business or who want to bring business someplace think about this town. So all we can ask for is to have them think about this town. And there must be an end to this talk, and I can't figure out what it is. But I think I've made the point that we really are essentially doing what other towns do, and that is not a competitive advantage. I'm done.
Great, thank you very much. Somebody who didn't know how to end it, you did just fine.
Well, I spent my life convincing people to do things they didn't want to, which is marketing.
Also, to that end, for both of you gentlemen, as we talked with Peter Neff and some of the other folks that we get ready to roll out the new website, all of these issues actually are being talked about and addressed behind the scenes, and I think we can put out a lot of very good things through the website, and a lot sooner, and a lot more accurate, as opposed to the pretty poor media that we have currently.
Yes.
Would the Water Pollution Control Commission like to say anything?
What about poor Jerry? Jerry's standing here.
I'd like to take this opportunity now, since I was given such a nice segue. I'm Chairman of the Morgan Building Committee. First thing I want to say is we are going to have wonderful school, and we have to be proud of it. I think it's going to be the nicest school on the shoreline when we're completed. I want to thank our building committee here this evening with me, John Giannotti, Dennis Donovan, Willie's here as well, and then there are several others that couldn't make it this evening. We're working hard to make sure the school is done the right way. I can report that we're on time. Substantial completion is scheduled for June 15th. We're on budget, and we look to finish the project with possibly a little bit of a surplus. And the last thing I want to say is we have a ribbon cutting, grand opening, open house scheduled for August 28th. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Sure, Bruce, thanks. Hi, my name is Matthew Kennedy. I'm the chairman of the Water Pollution Control Commission, and we've had a lot going on this past year. Many of you know our kind of ongoing battle is to see what we can do as a group of volunteers and experts in different areas to address what the state of Connecticut has identified in a consent order that the town entered into regarding needs areas. And it's a way of addressing a town-wide problem that has specific, neighborhoods that have wastewater issues from basically failing infrastructure and of our septic systems that haven't made the grade for quite a long time now. So we've done a lot of work with our engineering consultant to literally test properties, to gather data, and to put together a facilities plan, which is what we've been charged with doing as a commission. And this facilities plan is in a draft form. It talks about needs and solutions, and it's in the internal review with our group. There are several members of our group here tonight, and we've put a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into fighting this thing out and trying to understand what would be best for the town, what would be fair, what can we present to the town that will make sense. And one thing we've been doing, and I think is making an actual difference, and I'm looking around to see if I recognize people from neighborhoods, but what we've been doing is meeting with needs areas, these neighborhoods that have been identified as having wastewater problems, and also meeting with other types of stakeholder groups in town. We've had at least preliminary meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. We have with certain neighborhoods where, there's Rocky Ledge is one of our identified needs areas. It's an area where water quality is bad and sewer repairs have been problematic throughout the years. So we've met with quite a few groups, and we're going to continue that. And what is exciting for me is this next year is meeting with each of you groups, because you're the people who haven't heard much from us throughout the years, and it's about time that we actually find a way to work together, share what we've done, and hear back from each of the boards and commissions, and figure out how to do what each of the speakers have been talking about tonight. But it's something we can't run away from, and it's definitely not it's not as fun and as Jerry's job can be at times. Not always, but it's what we're doing. I wish I had a better speech prepared, but I appreciate the support we've gotten so far, and we look forward to meeting with folks. And anybody who wants to come to our meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, please come and meet with us. Even if you just pop your head in when you're driving by and say, I'm from such and such board or commission, like to meet with you guys, let's talk. Because then I'd have the ability to give you a call and talk to the commission, and maybe a couple of us can set up a specific meeting, to come and hear your concerns and how you think, what we're doing might impact all these different aspects of town. But thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Anybody else like to address the public? Yeah, Energy Commission.
My name is Paul Gobalin, and I'm with the Energy Committee, and we're probably the youngest committee in town. We were introduced to the Board of Selectmen in July of 2013, and basically our mission is to help the residents and the businesses in the town be more efficient with their energy consumption. And there's some great programs for the residents to take advantage of the home energy solution. And since July of 13, we've had over 300 people take advantage of that. And we've introduced a residential solar program to the town that about 30 people have taken advantage of. We had the light bulb swap, and that was a big hit. About 470 people showed up for that, and that was great. And for the businesses, we've been working with John and ETC and the Chamber of Commerce to let the businesses know about some really great programs with Eversource, and they can qualify for no interest-free loans for 4 years. And it could be a real deal breaker for a local business to stay in business or to stay in town or maybe even hire another guy. For the town, we've had solar installed on 2 of the schools, which we think is a pretty big deal. 432 panels on the Joel School and the Elliott School. And we're still working on hopefully getting some solar panels up at the landfill. That would be over 4,000 panels. That would be great. And where else? The new high school, hopefully on the new high school. And so we're getting some really good stuff done, and we're really appreciative from the support from Willie and Carol and John, and met with Bruce the other day for about an hour and a half, and we're really optimistic about some of the really great stuff we can do. And a lot of times it's like pushing a rock up a hill with your nose, but we're getting some good stuff. I mean, you can all relate to that, but it's true. But you know what? It feels good. We're doing the right thing, and we're helping people out. So that's thanks for your support.
I'm Mike Neff. I'm the deputy fire chief. The chief apologized he couldn't be here tonight to talk to you guys, but he's at a regional meeting. But the fire department responded to 1,890 calls this year, which is our busiest year on record. In a span of 3 months, we had 6 structure fires, which is a house that was on fire. 3 of those fires, residents weren't able to escape by themselves. Fortunately enough, we were able to go in, get them out, and all 3 of those individuals have made full recoveries. We also had a pretty serious accident on Nod Road where an individual crashed his car. He was stuck inside and the car caught on fire. Luckily enough, we had some guys pretty close. They were able to extinguish the fire. We got him out, and he's expected to make a full recovery. We continue our water supply improvement plan, which is the northern section of town where there's no hydrants. Phase 1, which was a study done by an independent contractor, is complete. And we're working with DPW to start Phase 2 and 3 in the spring. We received a new Suffin engine from Canton, Texas. We bought it used. Right now it's going under minor alterations, so it fits in with our fleet. And we're also finalizing the bid spec for a new engine, hopefully to come next year. We continue to train, keep up our minimum standards with OSHA so we can provide the best services we can, and hopefully we have a less busy year. Thank you.
We have one more in the back of the room.
My name is Joe Cuttino. I'm the chairman of the Park and Rec Commission. Bob Potter apologizes. He usually attends all of these meetings, and he has done so for the past 15, 20 years. Unfortunately, tonight it coincided with something else in his schedule, and he was unable to make it. I could give you numbers, I could give you a lot of things, but listening to everyone here, we don't think of our commission as the Parks and Recs Commission. What it is, it's your quality of life commission in the town of Clinton. We offer not just programs. We don't offer just sports programs or programs for things to keep children busy. We offer programs that involve the community. We are a focus of your community. 4 years ago, the commission decided to start looking at the beach not as an area to go to, but as a resource. As a result, I think you've seen a transformation in the beach with the buildings that have gone on, the new facilities that are there, the improvements of the facilities that were existing, and we have a vision that's going to be ongoing with the beach. It is a resource. It is one of those things that you can use to sell Clinton, because that's what we have. Our programs are educational. Our programs involve sports. Our programs involve exercise. We have 1,000 participants last year in the Zumba exercise program. We think about the number of children we have in our school system. 563 of those children participated in our fall soccer program, and that only goes to age 14, so it doesn't even count the high school kids. We have programs that involve the community and business, the Halloween painting, the family day affair at the beach. We attract people from the shoreline on our family day. It isn't just for Clinton. It used to be just for Clinton. Now it's an event. And we get more people every summer as an attraction. We have more volunteers focusing on Park and Rec than I believe any other commission. We involve volunteers in the sports programs. Our volunteers are involved in our educational programs. And the best thing of all about all the programs, and if I listed them all, we'd be here till about 8:30, they're self-sustaining. It doesn't cost the town anything on the programs. The programs pay for themselves. That's an added benefit. And it involves the community. Our Halloween painting program, which is an event every October, involves the businesses in the community. We get support at all levels. And I just want you to think of us as your quality of life commission, because that's what we truly are. And that's how we try to fulfill our mission, by enhancing the quality of life in Clinton, focusing on the quality of life in Clinton, and giving people the opportunity to participate in the community in Clinton. And that's what it's all about, community. Thank you.
About the library, Joe. See you.
The library. Well, just to sort of piggyback on what Joe said about quality of life, I mean, the library, the same, offers a lot of programs. And last year we offered over 850 programs for adults, teens, and children, all of which were paid for through donations, again, so self-sustaining. We also had a nice project that we did through capital expenditures where we upgraded our AV room with some new shelving and carpeting that was way overdue. We also have our wonderful meeting rooms that all of you folks are welcome to use. I know the police have used them, and a couple of other of you folks. Over 1,500 groups last year used community rooms and meeting rooms at the library. We want to thank DPW for keeping us on their radar and upgrading our landscaping, and you know, they did a fabulous job plowing this weekend. Thank you. But we're open. We've got programs, again, a free SAT program for kids, SAT prep, 6 sessions going on for kids who can't afford the $500 program that the high school is offering. And then again, on Sundays in March, we're offering a free tech program for seniors with cooperation with the Boy Scout Troop 7. So on Sundays, you can come by the library, drop in with your questions, your gadgets, whatever it is, and the Boy Scouts are happy to help out. So we're open Sundays through the end of March, and we've got programs for kids every Sunday, and it's something for everyone. So we've got downloadables. Also, website, we have a brand new website. I encourage you all to look at hchlibrary.org, give us your feedback. We're pretty proud of it, and we think it sort of represents what we're doing. So, thanks.
Jack, Board of Finance.
Okay, Jack Sherman, Board of Finance. I'll keep it short. As everybody else is, we're gearing up for the budget process. We have several workshops scheduled for the end of February, and it's open to the public. So if anybody wants to come in there, end of February 23rd and 25th, when I forget the other 2 dates. But as in the past, The board will recommend a budget which it feels will meet all the town's expenditures that are within the town's financial resources. So the key to success is you've got to look at both sides, resources as well as expenditures. And we'll do the best we can, we'll do it honestly. And one other thing, Bruce has asked us to look at a 10-year thought process when the budget is put to bed. And we will start with the conservation and development plan. But it's going to be a 10-year process going forward. That ties in with everything. It's going to be on both sides of the budget, and it's going to be on community. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, thank you for all coming this evening. If there isn't any other further discussion, I'd like to get a motion from the floor to adjourn. Second. All right, in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you all for attending.